This is VOA News. I'm Tommy McNeil. Iran's president is blaming the United States and its Gulf Arab allies for the attack on a military parade in southwestern Iran that killed at least 25 people and wounded at least 70. More from Reuters' Lucy Fielder.
They aimed to stand where Iranian officials were watching an annual event to mark the start of Iran's 1980 to 88 war with Iraq. Parades were taking place across the country. Iran's President Hassan Rouhani addressed this one in the capital, Tehran. Many of those killed were Revolutionary Guards, the sword and shield of clerical rule since Iran's 1979 Islamic Revolution. Foreign Minister Javad Zarif pledged a decisive response.
Reuters' Lucy Fielder. Both the UN and the U.S. condemned the attack, which both the Islamic State and a group calling itself Arab Struggle Movement for the Liberation of Aves claimed responsibility. The death toll has risen to 167 from the ferry boat that capsized in Tanzania's Lake Victoria. Its chief secretary told reporters the ferry had a passenger capacity of 101. He has ordered an investigation into the accident and whether charges should be filed. Pakistan says a gunfight with militants near the border with Afghanistan left 7 soldiers dead. The clash erupted while security forces were conducting a counterterrorism operation based on intelligence in a remote area, which had been a training ground for Taliban insurgents. China has summoned the American ambassador and recalled its Navy commander from a U.S. trip to deliver a strong protest against economic sanctions by Washington over Beijing's purchase of Russian weaponry. Washington says the purchase violates U.S. law to punish Russia for interfering in the U.S. elections. This is VOA News. It appears a woman who's accusing U.S. High Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh of a sexual assault decades ago will in fact testify before a Senate panel. The latest from AP's Ben Thomas.
Attorneys for Christine Blasey Ford say she has accepted the Senate Judiciary Committee's request for her to tell her story. In a letter to the committee's Republican majority, the attorneys say Ford is willing to appear in the coming week to, in their words, provide her firsthand knowledge of Brett Kavanaugh's sexual misconduct. But they're also asking the committee for a meeting on the exact terms of her appearance. They say they're hopeful that details can be worked out. Ben Thomas, Washington.
The U.S. Department of Homeland Security has announced a proposal that would seek to ensure those looking to enter and remain in the United States will not be reliant on public benefits, such as aid programs for nutrition, prescription drugs, or housing. The department made the proposal public late Saturday. Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen says the department is seeking public comment on the proposed rule in an effort to be transparent. Pope Francis is in the Baltics, where he intends to praise the citizens while likely having some criticism for Russia. AP's Charles de Ledesma.
Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia, each with ethnic Russian minorities, are also in lockstep in sounding alarms about Moscow's military maneuvers in the Baltic Sea area following Russia's 2014 annexation of Ukraine's Crimean Peninsula and its support of separatists in eastern Ukraine. The Vatican, however, has been loath to openly criticize Moscow or its powerful Orthodox Church. While seeking to avoid offense, Francis will likely praise the sacrifices of those who fought for independence a century ago during Russia's revolution and suffered again during Soviet rule. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Latest on the aftermath of Hurricane Florence, officials in the U.S. states of North and South Carolina continue to warn residents of the danger. The flooding is not over. A week ago, the storm took at least 43 lives in the Carolinas and in neighboring Virginia. North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper.
The storm itself is gone, but its treacherous flood waters remain. If you live in southeastern North Carolina, don't let your guard down. Stay alert for flood warnings and evacuation orders.
President Trump declared parts of the Carolinas disaster areas, freeing up federal funds for recovery efforts. An unmanned Japanese space capsule is headed to the International Space Station filled with cargo, including food, experiments, and new batteries. The launch was delayed for about 2 weeks because of bad weather and a mechanical problem. The delay had led the U.S. Space Agency to postpone 2 spacewalks to install batteries until new crew members arrive next month. I'm Tommy McNeil, VOA News.